Hi, everybody. My name is Renee, and I'm a content and funnel strategist. And what I do is work with businesses and brands to help you use your content and your funnels to create a customer journey that actually builds a relationship, a genuine relationship, and that using that relationship, of course, to sell your products or services. Okay. So, what I'm here to do on my YouTube channel is to help take the frustration out of digital marketing because I know that there's a ton of information out there and it can seem very confusing and very overwhelming. So, what I'm here to do is to take all of those strategies that you've probably come across and explain them in a way that's much easier to follow. I could break it down for you and help you understand all the steps that you need to go through in order to provide content and build a funnel that actually builds a relationship, sets you up as an authority, and eventually converts the prospective buyer into a customer. Okay, so I'm going to explain what a funnel is, and then I'm going to tell you about the foundational elements that you need to create a funnel. Okay. So, what is a funnel? Basically, a funnel is a series of steps that you take or that the customer takes to eventually buy a product or service from you. So, the reason why they call it a funnel, obviously, is because it starts, fairly big at the top and then it gets narrower and narrower as you come down at the bottom. So, at the top, there's a huge pool of prospects and buyers, and as they go through the journey and the steps in your funnel, it reduces the pool of people because some people are not fit, some people are not ready to purchase right now. For a number of different reasons, everybody is obviously not going to buy your product or service. So usually people who end up at the end of the funnel are the people who are a right fit for your product or service and who you have convinced that you're the right person for them, and then eventually they make that purchase. Okay, so in order to set up a funnel, you need to have certain things in place. But before I get to that, let me explain again also why it is a funnel is important for your business, right? So what it does is that it helps to generate leads, okay, without you having to do it manually. So you can set up a funnel, and while you're sleeping or while you're on vacation or while you're spending time with your family, this funnel that you set up can be generating leads for you. In terms of even generating leads, what it can also do is qualify the leads. So based on tracking certain behaviors that your customer takes as they move through the funnel, you can determine what products or services that you want to offer to them. Okay, the next thing it does is that it frees up your time. So instead of you again having to track down a lead manually or spend time on the phone with somebody, when you set up your funnel, you can use that process to generate leads while you focus more on providing your services or creating content that actually meets the needs of your audience. The other thing a funnel can do is help you scale your business because you can only reach so many people, in person, one-on-one. So if you create a funnel that automatically expands your reach and increases the number of people that you could have an impact on. Okay. So just to go back over that, a funnel is a series of steps that a customer takes in order to buy your product or service. It's really important that you have one set up because it's a way that you can automatically generate leads. It's a way that you can qualify your leads. It's a way to free up a lot of your time once it's set up right. And it's a way to help you scale your business. Okay. Now, before we can even, get into setting up the funnel and all of that, there are some foundational things that you need to have in place. Now, I've developed a 3-part framework. It's called the Clockwork Principle, which helps to use your content on your funnels to help to build your business, right? And what it does is that it's 3 main pillars that fit together that help your business to run like clockwork, right? So the first part of the Clockwork Principle, which is what I'm going to focus on today, is the branding and brand identity, basically understanding your identity. So understanding your identity is made of 3 components. Okay, so you need to understand who you are, you need to understand who your ideal client is and who you serve, and you need to understand what your visual and emotional identity is. Okay, so let's go into understanding who you are. So you need to know why it is you're in business, you know, why did you start your business, why have you continued to be in business, why it is you want to help people, what is your underlying business philosophy, what what makes you unique, what is your unique selling proposition, what it is that makes you stand out, what is your superpower, as I like to say, what it is that you do that makes your clients and your customers, rave about the products and services that you have. So you need to get a very clear understanding of that. The next thing that you need to have an understanding about is your niche and your ideal client. So understanding who your ideal customer is and what your niche is. So you need to develop a customer profile. So what you can do is develop a profile that is based on demographics and psychographics. So demographics would be things like the age, the marital status, the income levels, what stage in life they are at. You're focusing on children, if you're focusing on teens, adults, even things like if you're focusing on retirees or people who are late stage in their career, that kind of thing. Then in terms of psychographics, you basically need to identify what kind of behaviors and traits that your customer has. So things like what they dislike, what brands they wear, what brands they follow, things like what podcasts they listen to, where do they hang out online and offline, in terms of habits, what kind of videos they watch, what their beliefs are, what their attitudes are, even things like what irritates them, what their frustrations are, what kind of relief they're looking for. So it's a whole profile that you do in our customer avatar that you're building that gives you a very unique insight into what this person thinks like, how they behave. And you can base it on customers that you already have. So if you've been in business for a while, you can use a particular customer that you've been interacting, that you you could use it based on a customer or client that you've had a long-term relationship with, and you'd have gotten to know them, so you can build your customer avatar based on that person, or a collection of people who share similar characteristics. So the final thing that I'm going to focus on today is your visual and emotional identity. So that's basically your branding. Now, as I said before, branding, people might think it's, logos and colors, but that's not all there is to it. You need to focus on the visuals and the emotional connection that you're making with the customer. And you also really, which is another really important thing, focus on what your brand voice is going to sound like. And your brand voice is that little voice in your head, or the little voice that the customer hears in their head when anytime they interact with your brand or read something or see a piece of content that comes from your brand, right? So you need to take some time to determine what you want your brand voice to sound like. So is it happy? Is it snarky? Is it irreverent? Is it funny? Is it factual? Is it sweet? Is it warm, friendly? You have to think about how exactly it is you want to come across and how it is you want to sound when somebody's reading or interacting with any of the content that you put out. And that also would affect the kind of language that you use in your content. It affects the visuals that you would use, the images, the graphics that you create, that you use either with any content you produce or within your funnels that you set up, in terms of what your emails are going to sound like, what a landing page is going to look like, right? So in terms of your branding, brand voice is very, very, very important. Visuals are also important, and the emotional connection that you make. So based on the profile that you've had and based on your philosophy, you can create content and create a funnel that evokes an emotional response from your customer. Okay? So again, just to reiterate, I explained what a funnel was, and I explained the foundational elements that you need to have in place in order to build content and set up a funnel that actually builds a relationship and convinces the prospect that you know what you're talking about, that you're an authority, and eventually that is going to lead to a sale. Right? So I explained that you need to understand who you are, you need to understand who your ideal client is, you need to have a really, really good understanding of your niche, and also your brand identity, especially your brand voice. And tied to that, of course, would be your visuals. And very, very important is the emotional connection that you make with your customer. Okay, so I hope that this has been informative. I hope you've learned something from what I shared with you. And remember that I release new videos every Tuesday, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.